30 FPS gaming, is it that bad or do people complain about it? Now, there's a lot of topics surrounding about the new PS5 Pro that's coming out, that apparently it's going to run all glorious, and some people are saying it's going to run very shit when it comes to FPS. And I know this is why? Why are we complaining about this? Now, in other words, these consoles have been hyped up so much. The Xbox Series S and maybe X and the PS5 have been hyped up so much that it can run games at 120 Hz, quite crystal, 4K. These have been hyped up, and they always use words like, this is the most revolutionary console to ever exist. And people still say, oh, FPS is still suitable. Now, don't be wrong, it's like buying a PC, but you're only limited to 30 FPS, but you spent a load of money on that. You know, it's that kind of thing. Now, I get it, consoles are dramatically cheaper, but $400 is still quite a lot of money for something. You get what I mean? You're acting like $400 is like, oh, nothing, throwaway money. You know, that's a lot of money for something like that. You know, I know a lot of people don't expect a lot of power out of it, and yeah, they're not supposed to be the most powerful thing ever, but I hate it when console manufacturers use big words to try and hype up something, hype up their consoles, and in reality, they can't run shit because every developer wants to put the option of 30 FPS in that shit. Now, personally, in my opinion, games should have the option. Give the player the option. Do they want to sacrifice their frames for a better resolution and better quality and better image picture? Or do they want to sacrifice the quality of the image? You know? Do they want to sacrifice that quality of that image for better frame rate, you know? It gets me annoyed when people, start crying and saying, oh, 30 FPS is good. I'm not going to lie. Is it playable? Yes, it's playable. Is it worth it buying a console that constantly hypes up that? They really should have put on the box. Not expected. I mean, a lot of games do run 120 Hz. And I'm sure that a lot of people probably don't even play at 120 Hz. A lot of people play at 60 Hz. I mean, even if you play at 60 Hz, there's very few frame drops, I think, at 60. I did play on a 60 Hz TV for a while, for my console anyway, and I didn't really have many frame drops in that sense. But 30 FPS games, I know there's a tweet that went out. Anyway, there's a tweet called Nittengod by someone called Nittengod on Twitter. The 30 FPS is unplayable narrative is one of the worst trends to ever happen in gaming. This is signed PC lames as you're passing a great game experience. Yet 95% of you can't tell the difference between 30 FPS and 60 FPS unless you're told beforehand. 30 FPS plays fine. Well, let's get down to that second piece. You definitely can tell the difference between 30 FPS and 60 FPS. 30 FPS, it feels jaggedy, and you can notice, yes, it's very much playable. However, you don't want any real big frame drops within that 30 FPS. Because if you get big frame drops within that 30 FPS, you're going to know about it and you're going to have a shit experience. That's why it has to be a select few games that maybe push the boundaries. If it's a multiplayer game, don't bother releasing it if you can only release it in 30 FPS. Because it would be a bloodbath. It would be absolutely shit. Because FPS games where you need to react very quickly, you need the best option, 60 FPS. You need that buttery smooth movement, to get and either kill your enemy or, move to that position or something like that. Helldivers 2, that's at 60 FPS. It needs to be at 60 FPS. You've got to react quickly to stuff. At 30 FPS, now, I know a lot of people justify 30 FPS because maybe they can't afford a better PC or something like that, and that's all they can afford to play at 30 FPS. Okay. Just because you can doesn't mean other people should suffer because you play at 30 FPS. I get it. There's a lot of people out there who love 30 FPS, and 30 FPS, again, if it's a story game, it can fit story games a bit better, 30 FPS. That's not a bad option. And I'm not shitting on people who do. But don't make it think because you like something, everyone else has to like it because you like it. I think 30 FPS, if it's a game that really pushes that console, which seems to be pretty much every game these days, because these consoles, I mean, they have very few games in themselves, and they're already being pushed to the limits. I don't know, it blows my mind. Maybe GTA 6 should wait till the PS6. Maybe most of these games, anyway, should wait till the PS6 comes out, because clearly the PS5, to a lot of people and to everything, is very underpowered. People have waited years and years and years to get past this 30 FPS bullshit. The last generation, the PS4, you had to deal with that, and that's understandable. They weren't as powerful as they are, as the PS4 and the PS5. As the Xbox Series X and the PS5, of course. However, we want to get past the point of 30 FPS. What is it? It's going to take until the PS5 8 just to get past that. What is the PS6 going to be only able to run it? Is it going to still? I get it. And a lot of people saying that the PS5 Pro is not going to be able to run it. If the PS5 Pro can't run at really like 120 hertz on pretty much every game you release, don't bother releasing it. Don't bother releasing it, because I don't get it. 120 hertz should probably be the standard for that. I know they're pushing 8K. Number one, I don't know why you would push 8K. Apparently, there was rumored that it would push 8K, 60, which is a crazy statement. 8K. Number one, I don't think the average GPU can even push 8K at 60 FPS. That's crazy to do. I don't know why you would bother doing that, because most people would probably not take advantage of 8K. So it would be a waste of money just putting your time and effort into that, into trying to develop a console that plays at 8K. It'd be cool, yes. I know a lot of the PS5 box has the word 8K on it. I don't know exactly why. I think the console can run at 8K, just not stable enough to actually do anything on it, or any gaming as such. You probably can maybe watch YouTube and watch a few movies on it, and browse through the menu on the console, but when it comes to anything gaming, it probably doesn't even launch the games. It'll probably even crash or maybe overheat as soon as it tries to launch one of them games. So anyway, this big debate comes down as GTA 6 comes in. And a lot of people are debating whether this game will play at 60 FPS. I know Digital Foundry has put out a few things saying that this thing will not play at 60 FPS and blah, blah, blah. I've heard some rumours saying that Rockstar is making it better and making it more cool to run at 60 FPS. Bear in mind, it's not even confirmed. A lot of people just watch the trailer and initially think, oh, this game's going to be this and this. First of all, we don't even know. There's no gameplay, there's no footage or anything out there of this game and how well this game runs. Bearing in mind, the only place to play this for at least a year, maybe or two, will be console. The console version will be getting the sort of exclusivity in this sense to this game. And that's why people are all worried about it. Oh my god, it's going to be 30 FPS. Personally, I think it's going to run at 60 FPS. Or at least as you do in GTA 5 and the next generation one, in the next generation version of the game, or most games like God of War 2018 as well, you have the option to turn the performance mode, balance mode, resolution mode. There's a lot of other modes. I think they're the three modes that are in it. And essentially, all these modes, like the performance mode, you want better, performance out of your game. It reduces your quality and stuff like that. You want resolution mode, higher resolution, at a sacrifice of your frame rate, and a balance is a bit of a balance between both. So I wish it would have an option like that. I don't think why it wouldn't have an option like that. Have an option for you to change and sacrifice one thing over the other. I don't see why these wouldn't run at 60, 120. Okay, that may be a stretch. A lot of people think it's going to run at 30. I mean, again, GTA 5 was pushing the boundaries of the last generation consoles, but the story mode didn't run that bad. Maybe it did run at 30 FPS, but it didn't run awful. And people are making, if it's running at 30 FPS, I'd kind of expect it to run at 60, to be honest. Sacrifice the quality. I don't know, make it 1080p only. I wouldn't mind playing a game there. A lot of people I know would probably love to play it 4K. And I know that was a big talking point when Starfield came out. They were bashing it because it was only capable of doing 30 FPS. But heck, they're probably not going to bash. They're not going to bash GTA 6, though, are they? They're not going to bash GTA 6. They're not going to bash GTA 6 for going back to 30 FPS. I think 30 FPS gaming should be left in the dust. Okay, this generation, maybe not, but if by the PS6, if we're still doing 30 FPS gaming, we have a huge problem on our hands of the power of these consoles. Because no way should we be ever going back to 30 FPS, at least after this generation. Because then these consoles are a dud. I know consoles aren't as powerful as PCs, although the manufacturers love to brag about how powerful they are, even though they're clearly not as powerful as they expect. They're powerful for what they have and the money, of course they are. However, don't start saying things like that because a lot of people think it's powerfuler than this, which is not true. Either way, I do think 60 frames per second should become the new normal. I don't think 30 FPS is unplayable, and a lot of people will be able to play GTA 6 at 30 FPS. Again, it's not even been rumoured. I know that this is all sparked because people think this and this. Again, I don't know. It's I know the original GTA, is it GTA 4, had the option to play at 60 FPS. It did. Although I don't think that game was quite bad. You could definitely notice it was 30 FPS, but it was optimized to play at that. It did have the option to run at 60. And if you play the game on Xbox Series X, you will notice it's uncapped. You can play it at 60 FPS. It's been uncapped, so you can play it that. And I'm sure a lot of games are like that are at 60. I wish they'd just give you the option to like in Starfield. I wish they'd give you the option to sacrifice that so you can run it a bit better. I mean, then again, Starfield doesn't run really great on PC as well. So on most lowish end cards, 1080p cards. So it's kind of understandable why maybe people do hate on it a bit. I do think in this generation, though, as much as these consoles are hyped up to be so powerful and do this and that, having something release as 30 FPS is a bit of a punch in the face type of thing. I do think, and I do understand, but some motherfuckers be defending 30 FPS with their life, like it's like we're on the generation with the 360 or something like that. I know Far Cry 3 launched at 30 FPS. And a lot of other games did. Then again, that was towards the end of the life cycle of the console. Most games probably, I don't think any game ran at 60, apart from maybe Call of Duty or something like that. Most games probably ran at 30. I don't know. Again, I don't think many people complained about it back then because they didn't really advertise it would run at anything higher than that. Like today, they advertise all over these consoles can do 120 4K. Everywhere they advertise that shit. Back then they weren't really advertising this console can do this and this and this within the terms of resolution and FPS. They weren't doing that with the fucking Xbox One and the PS4 as well. They were saying it's revolutionary within the base of quality, and not really. I didn't see a huge jump in that sense. It was a jump, but not a huge jump. But again, consoles, I mean, I really hope if the next generation has still got 30 FPS gaming, I think we need to pack consoles in. Consoles need to go, because clearly they're not powerful enough. But I don't know. This comes as most people are complaining about GTA 6 and whether it'll run at 60 FPS. Personally, I kind of see it may and may not. I think it'll have an option to play at 60 FPS. You'll have an option. Do you want to play at 60 FPS? Do you not want to? Do you want to sacrifice the quality of your game to play at a better frame rate or something like that? But I don't see why. I don't know though. And playing that at 30 FPS, while I don't think it'll be bad, it'll just be like a... And if... it all depends. Is there going to be GTA Online to this? Or is... if there's going to be a Grand Theft Auto Online, holy smokes. That thing at 30 FPS, if you've ever played the last gen version, the PS4 version, and the Xbox One version of GTA 5 Online, you'll understand what I mean when I mean it's laggy as crazy. And I think that was 30 FPS. And again, the more updates they add down the line, it broke the game on the other consoles. It broke. That's probably why they had to release a next generation version, because they probably couldn't fix it and get around it. So they're like, oh, scrap it. We'll just get over this and we won't. Either that or they wanted to make more money. Probably that. But either way, I don't know. It's a crazy thing. FPM, people arguing over FPS. I mean, if you pay for something, you kind of expect to get it, but it's understandable both ways, to be fair. I just think people who scream about 30 FPS, we want every game to be 30 FPS. It all depends on the type of game at the end of the day. If it's a fast-paced game and you need to move around quickly, or shoot targets quickly in this, then yes, I'd want to play that game at 60 FPS. The best frame rate out there, because, again, I'm moving fast. It's a fast-paced game, of course. However, if the game is maybe a bit of a story, sort of laid-back thing, yeah, a bit of fast-paced action now and again, I wouldn't mind running it at 30 FPS, as long as there's no major drops and it's quite a stable 30 FPS. I don't mind that. If it's a very unstable 30 FPS and there's decently big drops around, not a great experience in my opinion. Although I don't think many console games have that issue, especially with the 30 FPS games. I know Starfield didn't have, when I played at 30 FPS on my Xbox, I don't feel like it had crazy dips, and I don't think I was experiencing crazy shit on there. It ran decently smoothly. Yeah, you could notice it was 30 FPS. I don't get why people say that you can't tell the difference. You can definitely tell the difference between 60 and 30 FPS. You can definitely tell the difference between them. And if you can't, again, you probably maybe need your eyes tested or something like that, because I don't know what to say. It's like most people, most PC gamers anyway, if you jump from like this, even if you jump from 160 hertz to 120 hertz, that is a huge jump. Most people who jump that far will notice the difference. 120 hertz is buttery smooth. So is 60, but it's not as buttery smooth as 120 hertz. And you'll definitely notice the difference. You will 100% notice the difference. Of course you will. So, I don't know. I don't know which is better. Personally, I don't think 30 FPS is bad, but please don't normalize it in gaming. I don't want this generation to be flooded with that. And at least, again, if it's next generation has the 30 FPS problem, I think it just comes down to these consoles being really under fucking powered for what they are. However, who knows? Who really knows? It is what it is, though. I know people are all crying about the frame rate of GTA 6. I get why. It's understandable. It's probably going to be one of the most anticipated games out there, and the hype is real for that game. And I can understand people want to play it at the best quality and the best resolution as they can. And that's very understandable. Very understandable why you would want to do that. So, it is what it is. Hopefully these consoles really do live out the 30 FPS and live up to the 60, but who really knows?